Okay, so Lenka, can you just give me a thumbs up that everything's looking all right? Cool. And you can hear me okay. Good. So I did start the talk with saying how excited I was to be standing here in front of you in Cambridge, but obviously that's not the case. But I'm really excited that I'm sitting here in Highbury talking to you all. So a little bit about me. I run a social media agency called Sarah Clay Social. I do social media strategy and day-to-day management. And I have a team who look after content creation, copywriting, PR and influencer marketing. And I also do social media training for individuals and companies in person, obviously not at the moment, or of course online. So I don't think I need to harp on to you about how busy the space is on social media. We all know that there are lots and lots of people out there struggling, competing to get their voices heard on social media, unless you've got a really specific niche. And my slides aren't scrolling. Unless you have a really specific niche. For example, if you're selling velvet slippers to turkeys. Now, for some reason, I came across this idea of velvet slippers for turkeys, and I Googled it, and funnily enough, nobody is making velvet slippers for turkeys. So if there's a niche there, if anybody thinks they can make a go of it, why don't they try? Although I think they'd probably get a bit grubby. Anyway, talking of turkeys, do you really think that turkeys just say gobble, 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 gobble? Do you really think that this is all they do? If you think that, you're wrong. When turkeys are on their own and we're not watching them, what they do is they sit down and they discuss things like the state of the economy in Papua New Guinea, and more latterly, obviously, they're talking about the coronavirus. But when the farmer appears with his cleaver, they all homogenize and say gobble, 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 because they don't want to stand out, because they know if they stand out, they're going to get chopped by that farmer's cleaver. And before they know it, they're going to be ended up on your dining table with herbs and nuts stuffed up their jacksie. And they don't want that. So don't be a turkey. Stand out and get yourself seen. So when did I first realise the importance of standing out on social media? I'm just going to tell you a little story. When I first started out with Sarah Clay Social, according to LinkedIn, I started Sarah Clay Social on October the 13th. This was 4 years ago. And I know that because every year I get these work-anniversary messages from all these people I don't know. And the year I set up Sarah Clay Social, I went to a Christmas party. Sorry to talk about Christmas again, but it is relevant, I promise. And I walked into this party, and a lot of the people there were lawyers, friends of mine who were lawyers. Lots of lawyers live around here. And I walked in and they came up to me and they said, "Sarah, you're all over LinkedIn." And I thought, really, am I? And they said, yes, every time we look at LinkedIn, there you are, all over LinkedIn. You must be doing so well. So I thought this was quite interesting. The first thing was that because I'm all over LinkedIn, they think I'm doing really well, which was quite interesting. But secondly, that they thought I was all over LinkedIn, which I didn't think I was, because Instagram for me was the platform at the time. So the next day, I had a look to see how many posts on LinkedIn I'd made from October the 13th to that party, which was about 6 weeks. You know how many there were? There were 3. So in that 6-week period, I'd posted 3 articles, a film and 2 articles on LinkedIn, commented on a couple of things, and apparently I was all over LinkedIn. So I said to my friend, "Why do you think that? Why do you think that I was all over LinkedIn?" And she said, "It's because you're so different from anyone else that I see on LinkedIn, and you really stand out." So this got me thinking. It got me thinking about my brand colours and how I communicated on LinkedIn, which 4 years ago was very different from everybody else, because they were communicating in a very different way on LinkedIn then. It was much more formal, but I wasn't being particularly formal. And I was thinking about my colours, and it got me thinking about my branding. So it must be my branding that's making me stand out. So most people think that our branding is our logo, our brand colours. And yes, of course, it is those things, but it's many more things besides. Branding is about who you are, who you want to be, and who people perceive you to be. Simply put, your brand is your promise to your customer. Consistent strategic branding leads to a strong brand equity. And strong brand equity leads to recognition. And the more people recognize you, the more they get to know you, like you, and trust you. And when they trust you, that's when people buy from you. So let's look at some examples of really good branding. Oh, sorry, I missed this bit out. I wanted to talk about this phrase that people buy from people. And I just wanted to take it a step further, that actually people buy from people that they like. So looking at some branding that we think is really, well, I think is really, really clever. Coca-Cola, for example. So Coca-Cola versus Sainsbury's own brand, which one would you buy? Coca-Cola have spent a ton of time and money creating their powerful brand equity so that they can charge more for their product and more people want to buy it. Water. This one really makes me laugh. There are so many different types of water available to buy on our shelves, but each type of water offers a different solution or is aimed at a different audience. So Evian makes you younger. Perrier is refreshing and bubbly and really, really sexy. And Fiji water is all pure and healthy and natural. But it's just water. And the only difference really between waters is their branding and maybe a few bubbles. So how are you going to be the Coca-Cola of your industry? How are you going to ensure that your brand stands out from all the other brands in your marketing strategy? How are you going to ensure that your brand is not a turkey and you're standing out above your competition? So first of all, I wanted to have a look at your logo. So if you have an eye-catching logo, it's going to really help your branding because your logo is the foundation of your brand. It doesn't have to be complicated or fancy, but what it must do is represent who you are and what you do. The brief for this logo was to create a logo which shows movement. It doesn't show a trainer or a football boot, it's just a line. This logo also shows nothing about what the brand represents. It doesn't say we sell burgers or fast food, but this logo has become so synonymous with its brand that the brand's name is often changed to the Golden Arches. Psychologists talk about the illusion of truth. Basically, the more times you hear something, the more you think it's true. You must have heard the phrase, oh, believe me, I've heard it 1,000 times. Seriously, it goes back to the journey of know, like, and trust. The more we hear or see something, the more likely we are to feel closer to it. So my advice to you is if you're having a logo done, get one designed by a professional. Logo design isn't just about a nice way of writing your name or initials of your company. It's a way of portraying your brand personality. So next I want to look at your brand colours. So make sure that your brand colours are relevant to your brand. So according to neuroscientists, these clever people who look at your brain, I think, or something, how consumers feel about a brand has more pull than what they think about it. So pair that with the fact that we know certain colours evoke different emotions, and your brand colours have a massive impact on your sales or performance. Did you know that brand recognition increases by 80% just by using the same consistent colours. Colour theory is huge, and in fact I could run a whole workshop just on colour theory alone, and I know people do. But what colour means to us, in fact, is largely based on our associations, which we learn. So, for example, what colour do you think of if I say the word love? You think of pink. If I go to green, now green is an interesting colour because green used to invoke stability, prosperity and growth. But now green is connected with our environment, about being green, Greenpeace. And I wonder if that's not why John Lewis haven't recently changed their branding colour from green to black, which evokes feelings of power and sophistication and modernity. Another really obvious colour is yellow. Yellow evokes fun and jollity and lightheartedness. And that's why these brands use yellow really, really well. And there's a colour which is used a lot, which is all about trust. And it's used in banking, and it's blue. Because obviously, if you're in banking, you want to evoke trust. So make sure that your colours reflect who or what your brand represents. So the next thing, after you've got your logo and you've got your colours, if you want to go on and look at your social media, you need to design a really standout banner. So how many of you in the last 6 months or year or whatever, certainly not in the last week probably, have been shopping and noticed a new shop, not a chain, but a different shop, an individual shop? And when you come across a new shop, the first thing you do is you go and look in the window because you want to see what it's selling. So when somebody looks at your social media profile, that's exactly what they're doing. They're browsing in your shop window to see what you have for sale. And what they see will determine whether or not they open that door or whether they click to find more about you. So that little rectangle at the top of your brand is all about you. Now, Lenka's obviously wondering what on earth I'm going to say about Cambridge social media logo. And I want to, sorry, not her logo, the banner. And I want to congratulate it because I think it's brilliant. It's actually, it says exactly what Cambridge social media is. It's really clear. It's even got the geographical location, and it's obviously about social media because of the amazing graphics with the Facebook F and the Twitter bird on there as well. So it's a really, really clear banner. And your banner design is even more importantly now because more people are viewing social media on their phones. So this banner here by Nutella, you can see how small it is, but they've used amazing colours and they're showing how Nutella can be used. So make sure your headers on all your platforms stand out, are really clear, and they say what you do. The next thing that's up there along with your header is your bio. Your bio is absolutely key. It's a bit like, this is a bit of an old-fashioned example, your personal ad in the singles column, because I've never used Tinder. You have to encapsulate your whole brand in these few words of your bio. So use simple language. Don't gobble gobble. Nobody ever asks if you can explain that again, but more complicatedly, please. So use very, very simple language. And be clear about what it is that you're offering. So if you are selling velvet slippers for turkeys, don't fluff it up by saying, we create bespoke footwear for unusual shaped feet, for example. What you do is create footwear for turkeys. Sorry, I've got a glitch here. I do apologise. We create footwear for turkeys. So that's what you should say that you do. Sorry, it's all gone mad. And the final thing on your bio you should have is a call to action. So tell people where they can find you, invite them to find you, get in touch, read my blog, head over to my website, etc. So the next thing we're going to talk about is your profile photo. So that is a really small part of your page. So that's my Instagram feed with my profile photo. Now, I don't have a logo, guilty as charged, mainly because when I was setting up my brand, I just couldn't think about it. It was too many things. So I decided just to use my face instead. Because I've got a personal brand, I can get away with that. So your photo is so important. We're going back again to the know, like and trust journey of sales. So I would imagine that some of you might have checked me out on my social media to see who I was before attending this talk this evening. So if you bumped into me in the street, for example, not that that's likely to happen for a few months, but if you did, you would recognize me and you might feel comfortable enough to come and say hi. It's a bit like when you're in the butcher's on Christmas Eve queuing up for your turkey and there's the local celebrity standing next to you, and because you recognise them, you say, hello, as if you know them. I mean, I've done that and it's so embarrassing, and I actually just wanted the ground to gobble me up. It was really embarrassing. But it's because I recognised that person. It was actually Mo Mowlam, who was the Irish secretary at the time. And she was very nice about it, but it was really embarrassing. But I thought that I knew her. I felt that I knew her enough to say hello. So what makes a good profile photo? I'm going to give you 5 takeaway tips for good profile photos. It needs to look professional. Please don't do what I've done here with poor Lucy McVeigh. And I've taken a photograph of her from a group photograph, and you can see somebody else's head. You can see Tim Lewis in the background, and that's the actual photo. And I thought I could see somebody who was with us tonight in a purple shirt behind me, but I don't know, because I think this was Cambridge Social Day last year. So make sure that you have a professional photo with a clear background. And when you're having your photo, think what's going to appear on the page. It's a tiny weeny circle. And actually, you need to put your best asset in that circle and not have too much space around it. So the other thing is to look into the lens. So these 2 ladies here, it's the same lady, one's looking into the lens and one isn't. Eye-to-eye contact purveys trust and brings the viewer into the photograph rather than them looking at it as an observer. So out of these 2, I definitely feel more of a connection with the lady on the right who's looking into the lens. The other thing is to look friendly and approachable. Even in the most corporate of environments where you'd expect to appear quite formal, it's good to show a bit of your personality in your profile picture. Ideally smiling, but if you can't manage that, try to look relaxed and non-threatening. And finally, don't use a selfie. The problem with this is, first off, you're a little bit too close to the lens, so your face is actually going to be a little bit distorted. And secondly, you're at a strange angle. So either put your phone on a tripod and use a timer, or get somebody who you feel very comfortable with to take that photograph for you. Okay, so you've got your photograph, and the next thing I want to talk about is don't be afraid to be different. Now, this is really difficult to do for a lot of people, and I completely get that. But standing out from a crowd, not being a turkey, is not just about how you look and how you sound, it's about what you say and how you say it. So if you're just running around in your brand colours, showing off your logo, but not delivering value to your audience, you're just going to be a gimmick. So don't be a turkey about your sales process. Don't just gobble, gobble, gobble at your audience like the other turkeys. Use different language. Be different, stand out, and be bold. As Casey Neistat says, if you're doing what everybody else is doing, you're doing it wrong. Now, I don't know if any of you know Casey Neistat. He is amazing. He does things completely differently from everybody else. He flies out of aeroplanes wearing dinner suits just to take photos, and he's just crazy. And he has made a fortune from being different and being a little bit crazy. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. If you had 1,000 people in a stadium to sell to, which would you prefer to happen? Option 1, after your talk or your sales pitch, They all walked away and went, yeah, that was nice. Yeah, wasn't he lovely? Wasn't she nice? Yeah, that was great. And off they all tottled. Or would you prefer to have 999 of these people booing you, telling you you're rubbish, you're rude, you're insolent, you're crazy, whatever, and walking out, and one person staying right till the very end and coming up to you and saying, I love what you do, I love what you're about, and I want to buy from you? I know which one I'd prefer. Number 7, we've only got 9, we're nearly there, is to be consistent with your branding. So whatever it is that you want to get known for, do it consistently. And that way people will never be disappointed when they come to you. Consistency creates security, which creates trust. So we're going right back to that trust issue, which we know is so, so important when we're trying to sell to people. Being consistent doesn't necessarily mean being boring, but being consistent is really, really important. So looking at Coca-Cola, for example, everybody knows what Coca-Cola tastes like. They know exactly what they're going to get when they unscrew that red lid and chuck it down their mouth. But what would happen if Coca-Cola changed their recipe and gave you something different? What do you think you would do with that Coca-Cola bottle? I reckon it would go on the first skip, in the first bin, and they would lose all of your trust and you would never buy from them again. So I don't only think, however, that you should be consistent with your branding. I feel it's very strongly that you should be persistent with it too. I am purple and orange, as you can see on my brand colours. I wear them, I use them in everything. And people who I don't know send me little memes and photographs saying, oh, I saw this and thought of you, when there's something purple and orange. It's getting a little bit out of hand, actually. But be persistent with your branding, and your branding will become synonymous with you. And not only be consistent with your branding, be consistent with your communication. So how many of you have ever dated anybody? I'm sure you have. Now, I've been married for such a long time, I can vaguely remember what it was like, and I can assure you I do not want to go back there. But imagine that you're dating somebody and you've been out on that first date and it was fantastic. And then they start bombarding you with texts. Hey, how are you? Can't wait to meet you. What's your star sign? You're quiet. Is everything all right? I miss you. All in one day. And then nothing at all for days. And then suddenly you get 2 texts randomly. And then you respond and it takes them days to answer. That's not really a very good way to build a relationship. No one likes to feel ignored. You're better off on your social media posting twice every single week than posting 4 times one week and not the next at all. Because people, your audience, are going to expect you to show up. And again, it's that trust, it's that reliability. They want to know that you're going to be there and they'll expect you to be there. And if you're not, you may well lose their trust. So be organised, turn up regularly and be there for your audience. And as Christine Kale said, I don't know who she was actually or is, but I like her quote, that consistent actions bring consistent results. So finally, number 9, I wish I'd got to 10 actually, but I got to 9 and that was that, is to know your audience. Do your research. Learn the needs and habits and desires of your current and your prospective customers, because it's not about you. Everything you do in your social media journey, in your marketing, in your business should be about what your customers want. What do they want? What do they like? So make sure that you've really got your customers in mind with every single thing that you do, whether it's your brand colours, whether it's your bio, how you talk, how you say, how you do business, what you wear. Everything should be about your customers. Don't think you think what they know. Know you know what they think. I know that's a bit of a long one. I came up with it one night, but it's true. You've really got to get inside the heads of your customers and know what they think and know what they want, so that you can adjust your branding and be persistent, be consistent, and follow all of those tips. And that way your audience will love you. So you've been amazing. Thank you so much for listening. And I am now going to stop the screen share and come back to you guys, because I've kind of missed you. Hang on. Here we are. I'm going to unmute you all. You're all still here.